Hello friends. Today's topic of discussion is pilot study in research. So, what is pilot study? A pilot study involves preliminary data collection using planned methods but with a very small amount of sample. So, three things we have to keep in our mind that first of all, it is a preliminary data collection procedure in planned methods, and the point number 3 is it involves very small amount of sample. It aims to test approach of the research worker towards a study. That means what the research workers is actually thinking about the main study. It also helps to identify any details that need to be addressed before the main data collection goes ahead. For example, a small group of sample can be involved to fill up the questionnaire, perform single experiment, or to undertake a therapy. That means if a research worker is going to do a research work on testing a particular drug on a group of people, then that particular worker should do a pilot study with a small group of sample and apply the drug or the therapy to understand rather that whether that particular therapy is at all applicable or not. A pilot study helps to judge the validity of the research methodology. Definitely, because if a research worker plan to do a study in a particular way, but for example, we can say that the research worker prepared a questionnaire in English language and used to apply that questionnaire to such population or to such sample who do not know English. So then in that case, if he or a very small amount of that person know English or can answer in English. So if a pilot study can be done on this questionnaire, that whether the questionnaire is at all applicable for that particular population undergoing the study, then it will be better for the research worker to translate the questionnaire in the local language, or to discard the questionnaire, or to alter some questions of the questionnaire like that. It helps to improve the quality of the final study. A pilot study can reveal deficiencies in the design of a proposed research proposal. A good research strategy always requires careful planning and a pilot study as a part of its strategy. So in one line we can say that a pilot study helps to do the research worker to do the research in a far and a far better way. So what are the other words for the pilot study? Let's see what the pigeon is telling. The pilot study can also be called as test, trial, experiment, trial run, dry run, experimental study, experimental investigations. So these are the synonyms of the pilot study. So what are the objectives of a pilot study? Test out data collection methods. Just now I have said that whether the collection method is at all applicable for that particular sample or that particular population or not. Or on the contrary, if some better method can be applied for the collection of the data. Next, help to finalize the acceptability of the questionnaire. Definitely, because if a research worker is giving a questionnaire which is irrelevant with that particular theme of the research worker, then the research worker should change the questionnaire. Next, inform the actual outcome. So there is no question of thinking that this type of outcome may be achieved, or this population may behave like that, or this type of problems can come in the final research. So what type of outcome will come in the final research work, that can be at least anticipated from the pilot study. Next, estimate important parameters to inform. Yes, what are the parameters the researcher will apply in the final work that can be decided from the pilot study. Help to calculate the sample size. So what the maximum sample size the researcher can take for the final study, that can be calculated from the pilot study. So why a research worker will do the pilot study? What are the reasons? Number one is process. The pilot study assesses the feasibility of the process which are considered to be the key to the success of the main study. Means how the research worker will do the particular study and what are the methods that he or she is going to apply with this to the sample or to the population. That is very important. Next, resources. The main deals, this reason deals with assessing time and resource problem that may occur during the main study. So management, this part covers potential human and data management problem. If some problem may arise, that can be anticipated from the pilot study. Scientific, this deals with the assessment of the response effect and the variation or the variance of the effect. So these four, process, resource, management and scientific, these are the four reasons for why the pilot study should be conducted. So what are the steps for conducting the pilot study? So number one, step one is defining a pilot study. That means whatever the research worker is going to do, that should be compressed in a very small way to frame a pilot study. Next, select the pilot participants. So from the whole target population, some persons will be chosen who will participate in the pilot study. Next, designing the study. So what are the materials, the methods, the steps of the methods or any other methods will be chosen for the study should be included in the pilot study to look after the feasibility of those process. Step 4, communicating. In this step, the research worker have to communicate with the pilot participants. Step 5, conducting the pilot study. Now using the methods and selecting the pilot participants, the research worker will do the pilot study. And the last step is step 6, evaluating and making go forward plan. Means whatever the outcome of the pilot study, the research worker will evaluate that whether it is at all possible to do in a vast way with a vast sample, whether the methods are feasible, whether the samples are okay, like that, and then he or she can go for some better planning. So what are the advantages of the pilot study? A pilot study can greatly reduce the number of unanticipated problems because the researcher have all opportunities to redesign the study to overcome difficulties that the pilot study reveals. For example, if the research worker face some problems regarding the sample, regarding the methods, regarding the whole population or the participation, so he or she can alter that. He or she had the opportunity to redesign the total study before doing the main research work. It may save lots of time and energy and money also. A pilot study provides ample data and help the search worker to think how to proceed for the main study or at all it is possible to do the main study. So whether the research worker will proceed for the main study, that will be confirmed by the evaluation of the pilot study. In the pilot study, the research worker may cut a number of alternative measures and then select those that produces the clearest results for the main study. Maybe some parameters can be discarded, some methods can be discarded, a type of sample can be discarded to clearly represent the main study. So these are the disadvantages of the pilot study. Like a common problem of pilot study is to decide whether to include the pilot study participants in the main study. So maybe at the time in the main study, the pilot study participants may not be available. They may not be in the mood to uh, take participation in the main study. So this can be a problem. Problem of contamination is another. Like it may arise when the data from the pilot study are included in the main results. Sometimes this problem comes. Sometimes a pilot study involves both time and money but remains unsuccessful. In this case, the total study is abandoned. This is the most unfortunate one. Sometimes happens like all the money and the time and the participants and the methods, everything is involved, but the outcome is not up to the mark. So then two ways are there in front of the research worker. One, to redesign the whole study. Number two, to abandon the study. So these three are the disadvantages of the pilot study. So here are 7 questions which you have to answer, and every answer you will get into the video. So thank you very much for your patient listening. Hope you like the video. Don't forget to subscribe my channel if you are new here to get the notification of the daily uploaded new educational videos. Keep in touch. So long. Bye bye.